Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live with your Lobbyist. I know it's a little bit earlier. Than we normally do it, but we're going to do it a little early this week. Hopefully you can join in. I'm sorry if you can't. Hopefully you can watch this later. I wanted to give an update on week 2. It's been a busy week again. We really are jumping into the deep end this year with the legislative session. So it's great. We're getting right to work, and there's a lot of good work being done. As we talked about last week, we had some big things going on, and one of them was the budget for the Department of Livestock. So we were able to go in on Monday morning and support the Department of Livestock in all of their budget requests. Of course, they do a lot to keep our industry moving forward, and it's important that we are able to support them so they can keep doing that for all of us here in Montana. In addition to that, we were able to support many bills this week. Again, we have a lot of different red tape review process. I see there's people viewing, so if you're here, if you're joining us, if you're watching live, just comment, say hi. I would love to know who's here. Tell me where you're watching from. Hopefully everyone who's in Puerto Rico for the American Farm Bureau has made it back. Susan, I see you're here. Thanks so much. Good morning to you too. Hopefully you had fun on your trip. Others, as you join, just feel free to let me know that you're here. As I was saying, a big theme that I've already seen a lot this week is red tape relief, which is great. It's really important that we are all doing the work to make sure that the burden when it comes to regulatory, that you're not facing the regulatory burden. And so it's good to see that all of the agencies who have been working really hard throughout the interim are showing us that by bringing this legislation. So this week we had quite a few with the Department of Livestock. Hey Elena, thanks for joining. We had some with the Department of Livestock, some with FWP, and it's certainly been busy. We were able to get in front of Senate Ag for the first time, which is always really fun. It's a great committee with a lot of members and a lot of people who really understand agriculture. Some of the other big events this week are all about water. Water, of course, has already been a big theme for this legislative session. We had some members come to town, had some members zoom in, so just a shout out to Rhonda Boyd. Thank you so much for zooming in. Thank you to Cliff and J.M. Peck, our District 2 Director, for coming up to Helena and sharing your thoughts. As we've talked about before with the Water Court, there's 2 big bills. There's Senate Bill 72 as well as House Bill 114. House Bill 114 was heard on Wednesday in House Natural Resources. J.M. was able to testify on that. He shared a great story. It's just one of the best examples that we can have of members coming to town sharing their personal story. The legislators love to know that. It's important that they know that, and there's no one that can share your story like you can. So please keep up to date on what's going on. Of course, we send out our weekly emails. The first one went out last week. If you didn't get it, make sure you let us know. Check your junk box. Sometimes it heads there. But we want to make sure you know what's going on, because if there's something that's important to you as members, we want to make sure that you're able to get here to Helena and share that story. But House Bill 114 has to do all with the changes and permitting process for water rights. So in the past, there's been a lot of issues with that. It was one of the biggest things when we first started the Red Tape Relief Project. We asked our members what was a big deal, right? And everyone said water rights. It takes a long time to do any of this, and it shouldn't. And we agree. And so did the department, and so did the administration. So we're able to make it. The bill says that it actually puts some sideboards on how much time it takes to do every step of the permanent change process. So it brings it from about over 365 days to about 105 days. So that's a huge improvement. It's really important. The story that JM shared really did explain that, and it was such a great story that the committee was able to vote on it that evening and pass it out of committee. So that bill is well on its way to moving through its journey. It'll have to get passed to the House. It'll have to talk to the Appropriations Committee before it gets over to the Senate, but we're excited to see it on its process. So those are some of the big highlights. We had, like I said, some other red tape relief bills that had to do with fish and game, with the Department of Livestock, having to do with aerial hunting and some of the details that people have faced issues with. This example has to do with if there's neighboring states, like if you live on the border in Montana and there's someone doing aerial hunting in the state next to you, but your county borders it, you were able to take advantage of that. But then if you lived right next to that county, you couldn't. So this kind of gets rid of some of the issues with that. It was pretty well received in the House Ag yesterday. Again, we want to thank the department for bringing that. Thanks, John, for joining us. Trying to think all of the other bills. There were a lot of red tape stuff and a lot of stuff that we support. There was a couple bills that have to do with MIPA. Our policy does support kind of reducing some of the burden when it comes to MIPA, especially for the department when they're doing good things. There was a couple bills in that regard that we were able to see in House Natural Resources that we supported. And yeah, I'd love to answer questions. If anyone has questions, please type them in and we can try and answer them now. Like as always, if you're watching this later and you have questions, you can comment them and we can come back and answer them afterwards. As we look forward to next week, it's not going to be less busy, but some of the important things that we'll see have to do with taxes. It's been a big conversation since before the session started about the governor's plan in regards to taxes. How can we reduce taxes for Montanans? If you remember from the 2021 session, we had the business equipment tax, and that it increased the threshold. So it made it so it was a higher level if you were paying into it, so less people were paying into it. And what it does this session is it'll bring that threshold even higher, so even less people have to pay into it. We do plan to support that, and again, really just thank the sponsor and the administration for bringing legislation like that forward. And that's on the big list for next week. Some other stuff that's exciting for next week is we've already had some of our bills that passed out of the House and are heading over to the Senate. So it's really exciting that already on week 3 we have legislation that could really be on its way to the governor's office pretty soon. That's exciting. It means things are moving. We're getting a lot of work done, and that's it's always a good thing, right? To get work done and not wait around. Some of those bills have to do with, again, red tape relief in regards to what the Department of Livestock brought. And it's really important, during the interim, we spend a lot of time going and learning about what the departments are doing. The Department of Livestock hosts their Board of Livestock meetings, and we get to learn about what's going on. So when it comes here to the legislative session, we're not seeing it for the first time, and we really appreciate that. I want to take this time to let you know that the Department of Livestock will be having their Board of Livestock meeting. I believe it's on the 25th. So it's another opportunity for you guys as members to join in. You can listen to that, know what's going on. And again, so when things are coming through the legislative session or even outside of it during the interim, you know what's going on. That I felt like it was very speedy, but again, I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you all for joining in. I'm so happy to see all of you here and on watching and being involved. Again, if you see things that are important to you, I always want to hear about it. So I'm always happy to help you if you want to testify, if you want to come to Helena, whatever it might be. We love our members to be here, and if there's bills that relate to you, I'm sure I'll be calling you soon, so just wait and we'll get you down here to Helena to testify. Again, just looking forward, we have some other budgetary stuff coming forward in regards to other departments that haven't been able to present their stuff yet, and other grant programs that we want to be able to support. Just other programs without the state that have to do with government funding, and we want to make sure that it's done the right way. So with that, I'm not seeing any questions, and I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate all of you being on here, for listening, for being involved and engaged, and if you have any questions later on, please comment them. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off, let you guys get back. Have a happy Friday, have a good weekend, and we will see you back here in Helena on Monday. Have a good one.